Johnny, we have 6 games to talk about for the Monday Game 7 slate in the regionals. We just saw UCLA take down UC Irvine. I mean, UCLA dropped 38 runs this weekend in 3 games. Outstanding weekend for the Bruins. I tipped my cap. That was a team that I bet against. But we've got 7 games. 7 games. North Carolina and are these confirmed times? It looks like we've got confirmed times. So North Carolina, Oklahoma, 3 p.m. You know, it's a shit show with the pitching to try to project who's going to go for a lot of these teams. For North Carolina, I have not dove into any of these box scores, so I'm kind of speaking out of my ass when I mentioned possible, probable pitchers. But my projection could be that Folger Boaz gets the start for North Carolina in Game 4 this weekend.
I think he threw today, right?
Did he throw today?
I don't know if he started. I didn't watch it.
I assume Houck threw. I assume Houck started. And then Folger could go for UNC in this game. And Oklahoma, I don't know.
Boaz could throw. He threw 34 pitches today.
Okay. So, yeah, he probably doesn't start. It might go to Lynch if Lynch hasn't thrown a ton. He started a game in the ACC tournament. But, yeah, North Carolina, today, I should say, quite a offensive showing from North Carolina or from Oklahoma. They put up 9 runs in that winner's bracket game, 17 in the loser's bracket game. They scored 26 runs in the day. That was an offense that I really kind of doubted. I took the under in Oklahoma, Nebraska. So it was a great day. Are they going to be able to follow it up against North Carolina tomorrow? Me personally, I'm going to doubt it. I'm going to take the Tar Heels once again to win this game, get out of the Chapel Hill Regional. Johnny, your thoughts here?
Yeah, it was disappointing because UNC had a couple chances to, their pitching really wasn't that good. They surrendered some runs early. Their offense had a chance to get them back in it, take the lead. They couldn't do it. They left runners on. I think they had bases loaded, nobody out in the 7th or the 8th, and they didn't score a run. Like, I don't know how that's possible. I don't understand it, but here we are. UNC decided to take a nice 2-0 advantage, absolutely jump all over Kyson Witherspoon, but they still find themselves in a winner-take-all regional game. I had UNC representing the left side of the bracket for the College World Series. I'm going to stay with the pick. I don't like to jump ship on my picks. I think they're the more talented team. I think the UNC Tar Heels will be winning this region. And the fact is they will be facing the Arizona Wildcats next week.
Yeah, just to get a number here, because I don't believe we have odds out there currently. 6 Monday games. The College Baseball Insiders matchup projector or predictor has North Carolina minus 295 and Oklahoma plus 295, straight up without any pitching projections in this matchup.
I have a question for you. How does it work if, knock wood, say Oklahoma were to win and Oklahoma, Arizona play? Who's
both teams bid? So you put in a bid, however much money you think it's worth for you to host, and then you get to reap the benefits of the entire weekend of income that you get. A big tiebreaker is how much both programs and athletic departments bid to host. But also it goes into facilities, and Oklahoma doesn't really have the best, and Arizona's got a former minor league stadium. So I think Arizona would probably get the nod there on a bid. I really do. USC and Oregon play tomorrow in a game at, I think this one's at 9 p.m. Eastern. I don't think this is totally updated. I believe I saw 6 p.m. local time for them, so that would be 9 p.m. for us. USC, Oregon. Pitching, I have no idea. Oregon State played through the loser bracket, so I don't know who the Beavs could possibly throw out there. Eric Segura did not have a good game the first time on Friday. Didn't get out of the first inning. He probably only has 40 pitches on the wing. You may see him if he didn't throw it all today. And for USC, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head who would go. They've thrown Caden Aoki, they've thrown Caden Harris, they've thrown Andrew Johnson in all three of their games.
I think it'd be Caden Hunter.
Or sorry, Hunter, not Harris.
Hunter. I don't know how you don't throw Hunter. He only threw an inning and a third, 21 pitches against St. Mary's on Friday.
Okay.
So, or whatever, Saturday.
So yeah, then that's a huge spot for Hunter, who's kind of fallen out of favor in that weekend rotation.
He's had some really bad starts, but I mean,
yeah, his momentum, his trend has been really bad.
I mean,
he was locked down the beginning of the first 2 months of the year.
I mean, the stuff's there, man. He's just been inconsistent. The walks have been a little bit too high, and his big bugaboo is the home runs. It's the walks and the home runs. But listen, this is a sprint. You need him to be good for one game. So I mean, you know, if your winner take all is a guy with Caden Hunter's talent, you're in a pretty good spot, even against a team like Oregon State, who's got some boppers in their lineup. So that's actually a pretty. There's teams that could be doing a lot worse than Caden Hunter in this situation.
1,000%. I am with you every step of the way here. The matchup predictor over at College Baseball Insiders, because we don't have any odds, would list at blank face value, pitching staff, team ERA, Sierra, whatnot. Oregon State would be a minus 189 favorite. I would bet anything at plus 189 or around that ballpark on USC. And I'm wearing an Oregon State shirt. I tend to call it how it is. I think Southern Cal could be live in that game based on how Segura pitched earlier in this tournament as well. Both starting guys not necessarily in the best trend of who we think may get the ball here. Johnny, do you have a pick?
I think honestly, if it's say it is Hunter versus Segura, it's hard for me not to take Oregon State because they're at home. I think they just took St. Mary's too lightly, honestly. I think that's really what it is. USC, man, you can't count them out. Do they get boat race 2 games in a row? You know, I would need a little bit more time, but I think USC, if it's Hunter over Segura, I'd probably give USC the nod there. The problem is, unless there's a ton of walks, which is definitely possible, does USC have the bats in order to score what they need? Because quite frankly, I think the winning team is going to probably have to score at least 8 runs here. I think you're in the annals of each team's bullpen. Guys are pitching tired. They're fighting for their lives. I think you're going to need 8 runs. So I'd be curious what the total is. But sidewise, this head versus heart thing. I feel like Oregon State would probably find a way to pull it out. But I don't really love Oregon State this year. I mean, I was big on them last year. They were one of my big teams last year, Oregon State. I feel like they would find a way to pull it out. But I got news for you. If we get a total in like the 14.5 range, I think we got to play that over. There's absolutely a scenario where Segura shows up. He does well because he's capable. Caden Hunter shows up and does well because he's capable. And we see something that's like a 6-3 game. But there's also a scenario where like both of them aren't sharp and the bullpens are just gassed and it ends up being a higher scoring game. So I'd probably look for the over.
The next game here is Ole Miss and Murray State. And give me the over. Before we even talk about this thing, this has to be 18 for me to not take the over here, based on the lacrosse scores that we've seen in this regional so far. Murray State's completely torched, Ole Miss and Georgia Tech's pitching staff up until this point. That first game against Georgia Tech, Ole Miss throws Cade Townsend for 43 pitches. They throw Mason Nichols for 43 pitches. They throw Will McCausland for 30. All of those guys kind of will be wait and sees to see if they come back. And then I was kind of impressed with Ole Miss and the arms that they were able to run out there and keep Murray State to legitimately 8 runs. That was actually kind of impressive. Dennis goes out there and gets bombed, but Rodriguez and Waters did a good job at really doing the cleanup duty. They're only surrendering 6 hits in 5 innings. This Racers team has been hitting everything that they've seen. It's been really, really impressive. However, Ole Miss dropped 19 today on that pitching staff, and I'm very curious of what Murray State decides to do. I think they go back to Nick Schutte, who threw that first game against Ole Miss, looked really impressive, goes 8 innings, gives up 4 or 5 runs. I can't remember how many, but we saw it with Evansville last year, the 4 seed that was sitting in the winner's bracket of the Greenville region. You know, even though it was their 4th game, they went back to their ace. And I think that Schutte might be game. So if that's the case, that's pretty interesting. For Ole Miss, I have no idea. And that's why I'll probably go back to Riley Maddox. As you've played 4 games in this weekend, you've used 8 arms, 9 arms on Sunday. I think you probably have to go back to square one on who you threw on Friday. So, yeah, this matchup's tough. I probably go Murray State money line. I definitely go over. Johnny, your thoughts?
I'd have to see the price. I mean, I picked Ole Miss to win the region, to be honest. But like, if you're going to give me Murray State, even close to plus 200, how do you not take it? I mean, the overs is no doubt. You got like, look at this is Ole Miss this weekend. 15 runs against Murray with Murray combined with Murray State first game. Next game against Western Kentucky was 14 runs. Georgia Tech earlier today, 20 runs. Murray State this evening was 20. What was that? 27 runs. They scored 30 runs today in a doubleheader. That was insane. So I mean, like, listen, dude, I did pick Ole Miss, but it wasn't because I thought they were that good. I mean, listen, if you're going to give me Murray State anything close to, like I said, 2-1, how are you not going to take it? I just, I think that's it's kind of crazy. But yeah, dude, the over. I mean, I hope we get like a 15.5 or something like that. I mean, we're hitting this motherfucker. No questions asked. I really don't know who you would throw if you're Ole Miss, dude. I think Riley Maddox is probably the guy you got to go back to, and that's a little alarming considering the amount of home runs and walks this kid gives up. But the talent's there, and we've seen him have big outings before. He threw 70 pitches on Friday. That's not too many. You can definitely come back out here and at least give your team 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I'm sure the rest.
Randy, man, in the chat. No shit, they're AI based. I look at the format of the text and it's not even completely sending because it's too many characters after the 4th line. I appreciate the effort, but we're okay. I like I said, I appreciate the effort, but I mean, I've already kind of put you in timeout for trying to promote your own whatever you're trying to do. But yeah, thanks for joining us. We've got a great community here, 60 plus watching live at 3 a.m. Johnny, we were shooting for an hour show and we've gone way over, but we're having fun. Let's continue on with the Monday picks. We've got 6 games. We've already talked about 3 of them. Wake Forest, Tennessee. Johnny, I'll put you up on a tee. You go ahead, bat lead off here. What do you expect between the Demon Deacons and the Volunteers on Monday?
Tennessee really had to lose that game today. Again, what was the problem when they were going to play LSU a month ago? What was my biggest concern for Tennessee? You remember?
Your starting pitching depth.
Fucking bullpen, dude. God damn, you don't remember? We talked about this ad nauseum. The bullpen let them down today. I mean, they should have been able to beat Wake Forest, and they didn't. They coughed up some late runs, and that ended up hurting them. And I think one of the problems with Tennessee this year is Liam Doyle has not been good in the last month. He's been a problem. And when your starting pitching depth is as thin as Tennessee's been for the second half of the year, you need Doyle to be on point. But the biggest problem is they haven't had a number 3 pitcher all year. Yeah. So I don't know who they're going to go with. And I think they're probably going to have to do some little combination here. I mean, Dylan Loy, he threw 21 pitches today. I wonder how much they give him. Like Brandon Arvidsson's done. He threw 108. Nate Snead, do you go back to him? He threw 41 pitches today in a loss, which is definitely not ideal if you're Tennessee. I mean, honestly, the guy I would probably maybe consider, but then you have to consider his health because it's a draft year from his AJ Russell. AJ Russell threw 51 pitches yesterday.
You can't. There's no way.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't go to him then, right? So who would you possibly go with? I mean, Tegan Coons seems like a guy that I think you probably have to throw out there. Maybe Tanner Franklin.
Did he throw today?
Okay, so today they played Wake Forest. It was Loy, Arvidsson, Snead against Cincinnati on Saturday, the game they won.
Yeah, so it's Coons. Coons hasn't thrown it all this weekend.
It was
Coons
Phillips, Russell, Arvidsson. So it's probably going to be Coons and Franklin if we're using context clues.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, they both got the stuff, dude. But
Liam Doyle threw 104 pitches on Friday. It's tough to bring out a top 10 pick, first round pick at the minimum on 3 days rest.
The only way I'd see Doyle come out is if like Tennessee's trying to close down in the ninth,
8th and 9th inning.
Yeah, like maybe he throws an inning, like if they need him to lock it down. But I think realistically, it's going to be Tanner, some sort of combination of like Tegan Coons and Tanner Franklin, who both have ERAs in the 5s. They both have strikeout stuff, but they're not consistent enough. But at this point, you need somebody to step up, and they're going to go with that combination. But here's the thing, though: Wake Forest, which is something I mentioned from them, they don't have like a legitimate ace this year. Like Blake Morningstar has been really good, but I don't think he's ace status. But what they did was they poached a bunch of like Friday night guys from obscure programs. So they could have one of those guys come out there, and even if it's like 4 or 5 innings, that could be enough. Like a guy who I really thought was going to be good this year for them in some capacity was Matt Bedford, who had some really good starts at Notre Dame as their Friday night guy last year. I mean, honestly, the guy I think could actually get some look today or for this game. I want to check to see how much he threw.
Yeah, I'm looking at all the pitching right now.
I think honestly, the guy that I would probably point if I'm Wake Forest is Griffin Green.
That was who I was going to mention as well.
Griffin Green has been a big reliever for them this year.
19 pitches on a Friday. That was it.
Yeah. For those that remember, Green was a Friday night guy for Virginia Tech 3 years ago. Yeah. He transferred. He was actually running point on a pretty good VTech rotation a few years ago. That's when Oklahoma went in and beat them. And VTech at the time was top 10, and Green was running point, and this kid was good. So
he had Tommy John though. So
that's what it was.
So he was taken out, for a year and a half, and then he transfers after we all thought he would be back as Virginia Tech's number 1 this year. And then he's been out of the bullpen, not really going long because of coming off that arm injury, but he seems to be like the most fresh arm, just as he's stretched out. And if he's not, then you probably look at a Chris Lavonis, who only threw, I think, 40 on Saturday.
So Green's thrown 35 and a third this year. What has been the most he's thrown? Because, listen, you might be able to get 3 out of Green on a start, and you'll take that. Green's went 4 innings. He's done 56 pitches before. He threw 19 on Friday against Cincinnati. He hasn't thrown 30 pitches since May 10th against Pitt. He threw 56 against Stanford on April 25th. Early in the year, he was getting some pitches. He had a few outings where he was in the 40s. I got to be honest. I think you might be able to get 3, possibly 4 out of Griffin Green if you start him, and then maybe you go Lavonis, maybe Joe Areola, who at one point this year was one of their key relievers, can get in some innings. He didn't throw. He hasn't thrown. I'm sorry. Against Miami, Ohio, he ended up throwing on 531. He threw 9 pitches. So I think Areola's live to go a couple innings.
Yep.
So
I
I think
like
they're going to.
I like maybe Hayden LeFew too. He was a midweek starter last year. This year he's been more of a leverage reliever. So I would keep an eye on LeFew as well.
I'm actually wondering, do you think maybe Austin Breedlove for Tennessee goes? Breedlove's thrown 23.2 innings, but he's got a 3.42 ERA. He only threw a third of an inning against Miami, Ohio.
Either way, I kind of like Tegan Kuhns as their starter. I think we've hit that pretty well.
He's probably gotten the most Sunday action, but I mean this is him last against Vandy in the conference tournament. One and a third innings, 4 earned. The start before that against Arkansas, 2 innings, 4 earned. He hasn't had anything close to a good outing since March 22nd against Alabama. So he's given up an earned run in every single appearance he's had in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 appearances. He's given up at least 1 earned run.
So that's why he hasn't really, got out there, got some run. On the matchup predictor, Tennessee is minus 461 with Stavs compared to each other. I'd be looking at Wake Forest if it gets anywhere near there, but it's not. And then if it's Griffin Green versus Tegan Kuhns, it's even higher. So I'm really confuzzled on that. So that means I'm probably going to land on Wake Forest in some type of capacity, whether it's run line or money line, if we get something in that ballpark, because I think that's a little crazy.
I also think the offense for Wake Forest has been a lot better. They've kind of found their groove towards the end of the season.
Both I think it's honestly.
But I mean,
probably be an over.
An over's a look here, but sort of like the Murray State thing. If you're going to give basically a coin flip matchup, the underdog 2-1, it's hard not to take it. No betting, like betting aside, I picked Tennessee to go to the College World Series, so I'm going to stay with that. But in terms of a bet, like I would think Wake Forest, if you're getting anything close to that number, is definitely worth taking a ticket. And I'd be curious to see what the over is or the total is as well.
We don't have to spend a ton of time on this matchup. LSU Little Rock. The Trojans do have the hammer. They will be the home team in this matchup.
Again?
Yeah. It goes on how many home games have you played in the regional.
It's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
I like it. I
hate it. If you're the regional host or super regional host, you earn the right to be the host. You should never be the away team.
How much do you want in that advantage? You already host. You already have your home field and home fans.
You should get every single advantage. Like Little Rock doesn't deserve an advantage in any.
You don't need to be the home team every game.
You do, and you should. Your LSU shouldn't. You're the host. You shouldn't be, especially shouldn't be the away team in back-to-back games. The fuck?
I think it should be. Little Rock's only been the home team once prior to the regional final, so now it's going to even out. But look, Little Rock in their 5th game, they probably go back to the combo of Jackson Wells, and they'll even probably use Jack Klein on 2 days of rest or 1 day of rest, whatever. Like they're going to go all out for a regional W. I feel LSU. That's one of your things where are you going to trot out one of those first rounders on short rest? I don't think Einson's coming out of that pen to throw. This is quite interesting because they're probably going to need that one guy to show up and pitch really well. We did not see that out of the bullpen today in that same exact position, Johnny.
Yeah, that third starter, man, Chase Shore's really let them down. And they've been fumbling to find a third starter ever since. Anthony Ianson threw 98 pitches on Friday. So, in regards to like that Liam Doyle kind of scenario, I don't see him throwing more than an inning, maybe 2. Mm-hmm. So you're going to need somebody to step up. Now, I guess what the question is, like, what's been the usage for like a Zach Cowan this weekend? Has he thrown a lot? I haven't seen if Cowan's really been used that much this weekend. But listen, dude, I gotta go. LSU is my College World Series pick. I gotta go with LSU. I can't fucking take Little Rock. I mean, listen, if the run line is like 4.5 again, something crazy, then I'm gonna take the Little Rock plus 4.5. But the fact is, I'm taking LSU. But here's interesting. Something's interesting. Zach Cowan hasn't thrown since May 15th.
Yeah, he hasn't thrown at all this weekend. I was just going through all the game logs.
Is he hurt?
No, I think that you're probably saving him for the doomsday scenario. Because game 1 against Little Rock, they won 7-0. Anthony Ianson went out there and shoved. Game number 2, they blow out Dallas Baptist, and Cade Anderson goes out there and shoves. So you don't need to use a top arm there. And then today was a total shit show, and you got down early, so you weren't going to use Zach Cowan out of the leverage inning, So he probably starts.
I think Zach Cowan's a stud. He hasn't pitched in a while. That's the one thing that concerns me because that's the rust versus rest. We rarely see these guys that are 2 weeks off because pitchers are very weird, dude. It's not like the NFL where you could get a half and kind of ease back into it in the second half, bro.
Also that SEC tournament, now that I think about it, Jaden Newt had an incredible start in that first game. Then the second game, they go Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson back-to-back, and they didn't use bullpen there either. So, that's what happened there. Yeah,
I mean, rust versus rest, that's a little concerning because, pitchers are weird creatures. They need to be on schedule. A day short, a day late, that's off their routine.
Yeah.
The other guy I would consider throwing in some capacity is going to be William Schmidt. He threw 30 pitches in 1 inning against DBU on Saturday. But, he's a freshman. He should be good to go. I think having a taste of the regional here, I think William Schmidt should be good between 2 and 4 innings, depending on how much he can go. I got to be honest, I might be a little bit more inclined to go William Schmidt to start because he's a little bit fresher. He's got the experience in terms of getting a taste in the regionals. So I'd probably look to go Schmidt anywhere from 2 to 4 innings, whatever you can get. And then Zach Cowan, 2 to 4 innings. And then honestly, bro, you probably just got to figure it out from there. Maybe Kason Evans, even as a freshman, can handle it. And then, your offense is going to show out here. And then you could build a lead and throw maybe Ianson for an inning or 2 to close this shit out.
I'm with Jack DeLongshaw here. I think they start Zach Cowan. He was last year the SoCon pitcher of the year. In the regional, he went out there and shoved for 8 innings in the losers bracket game for Wofford. So I think Cowan gets the ball early and gets to be able to dictate this game. You're not going to give it to William Schmidt, who hasn't started many games the entire year, a freshman, to go out there and possibly put you behind the 8 ball. You want to dictate how this game goes. So
Kason Evans also hasn't thrown this weekend. So, I mean, listen, LSU's got high octane arms ready to go. I mean, William Schmidt threw 30 pitches, but that's fine for him. This is a kid that was coming in ready to be a starter. This is a guy that's going to be an ace for this program the next 2 years. So he's geared up to have a big workload. You have 3 of your most talented arms in the bullpen that are ready to go and really haven't had much, if any, workload. So, listen, bro, I think LSU's going to do it, dude. I don't pick this team to fucking win the College World Series and then get bounced by Little Rock. I will have an absolute fucking meltdown if Little Rock beats LSU.
I'll love it.
A meltdown.
I would love it. We need a 4 seed, and
no, we don't.
We do. We need a 4
There's
seed.
been enough. It's been enough. I'm up at 3:18 in the morning Eastern time talking about LSU playing Little Rock, and you want Little Rock to win? Don't be selfish. Don't be selfish.
I have LSU winning the national championship as a ticket once.
So don't pick Little Rock. There's been enough.
I want Little Rock to win. I want chaos. I root for the little guys.
No, there's been enough bullshit going on this weekend. Root for Murray State. Let Murray State take the fucking 4 seed.
Give me another Stony Brook. I'm rooting for Murray State too. I'm rooting for both.
No.
The final game here is the 3 seed Miami against Southern Miss in Hattiesburg. Pretty uncompetitive games from Miami, honestly. Game 1 was the only competitive matchup they had where they come back and take the lead and win that game. AJ Siskar throws. They used Brian Walters in the 9th inning. They had to use him quite a bit there. They then blow out Columbia. They don't have to use any of the bullpen. And then they get blown out by Southern Miss. And I don't believe they used any of their top bullpen arms here. So to me, I think Miami's the team that you want to be on the side of. Johnny, do you agree? What's your read on this game? Southern Miss just beat them today, 17-6. They had a 10-0 lead after the top of the second. And then Miami puts up 6 runs in the middle innings. And then once it kind of got to the point where, Miami was not going to be able to complete the comeback, Southern Miss again was tacking on at the end to dress up that score again.
Wonder if UCM blew their load today. That's the appealing thing. I didn't love USM because I don't know, man. Their pitching depth after JB Middleton was a big question mark for me. I would probably think Matthew Adams can go.
Oh, I think it's Cross Sibley. I think he goes.
Yeah, well, he's been one of their big relievers, but I think Adams in some form can go. I think it could be that combo again. He threw 75 pitches against Columbia, in the beating he took against that 4 seed. But I got to be honest, man. I think Miami's frisky. And you know why? Because Miami's got the best player on the field, and Mr. Danny Cuvée, the reincarnation of Yohandy Morales. I can't look at this kid and not just see Yo-Yo Morales hitting 450-foot shots to deep left center as he picks up the whole team and carries them on his back. I mean, that's what this kid is, bro. This kid is Superman. He's going to be – I think he's going to be a top 5 pick next year if he plays – the way he's played his first 2 years, if he plays like that next year, top 5 pick, no question about it.
So NCAA Insider's matchup predictor has it Southern Miss -167. So what we're both talking about here, I would be looking at the Hurricanes here at plus money. Anything around that plus 167 ballpark, I'm on. Anything minus or anything plus 120-ish is probably the range that I start to think about it. I have to be higher than plus 120 to get on Miami there.
Hugus was big for them. What did he throw? He threw a complete game, 122 pitches the other night.
They didn't use the bullpen at all.
So I'm sorry. Who did you say you think Miami goes with here?
For Miami, I think that they used Brian Walters quite a bit because he was a starter at the beginning of the year. He only threw like 30 pitches on Friday. I think at some point in this game, whether he starts or whether he comes in the middle innings, your bulk pitcher is going to be Brian Walters.
Okay, yeah. The starter experience is nice, especially this time of year. You get both from him. Miami's frisky, dude. I don't know. I think USM probably – I could see USM running out of bullets. I could. After putting up a 17 spot. I'm just trying to see how many pitches Walters has thrown.
I think it's 30-ish on Friday.
Truth be told, dude, I think because this is one like I don't really care. I don't personally see either of these teams having
Walters threw 29 against Alabama on Friday.
Oh, he hasn't thrown. So yeah, Walters starting makes sense to me. You got to get probably 4 or 5 from him. Yeah, listen, dude, if you're getting like 150 with Miami, I think you got to take it. Because I mean, personally, I don't think there's a big advantage on either side. And basically at a coin flip game, if you're going to give me the big plus money with a team like Miami, who's got the best player on the field, it's got to be Miami.
All right. That wraps up the picks portion of this. Before we get out of here, Dilly Daggers is begging to know what happened. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I don't even really know. It was not public, but Kevin O'Sullivan was upset with the game time being moved back an hour. I assume that he probably had Pierce Coppola warming. And Coppola is a guy that has gone through multiple arm injuries. So if you move the game time back, he's going to be, of course, upset because now you've got him sitting around for 45 minutes to an hour if you have him starting to get warm. So that was what happened. I'm sure that O'Sullivan voiced his opinion about it, and the site athletic director for Coastal Carolina, or at least the representative, was Gary Gilmore, who is the retired, former head coach of Coastal Carolina. And Kevin Schnall didn't like it, and that's why he voiced his opinion about it in the postgame presser. So that's going to do that for the show. You can follow me on social media at NoahB77_. You can follow Johnny at _JohnnyVTV. Johnny, anything that you want to plug, Monday should be an outstanding day of baseball once again. Should be really coming down to whichever offense is hotter, honestly. That's going to be dictating it. But your thoughts?
Yeah, 1-game sprint, dude. It's a 1-game season right now. If you got any bullets left, use them all in this game. And let's real quick, we got to give a quick shout out. Congrats, clap it up for our boy Jack Caglione. Jack got called up this evening. It was a brutal weekend, but in this just pure sight of brutalness, there was beauty. The Italian Prince from Tampa will be a Kansas City Royal come Tuesday evening. Looking forward to betting a little home run there. And Jack, no, I will not be betting Little Rock. Listen, I'll take a taste on the 4.5 if we're getting a nice fat, juicy run line. I think that's worth it. But I'm riding the Tigers here all the way to Omaha and beyond.
These low-seam baseballs, man. The offenses are playing up. Little Rock had the worst offense, the worst RPI in the field of 64 entering the weekend, and they're putting up runs like it's nothing right now. So it's awesome.
If Little Rock wins, I'm drinking a triple bleach martini.
All right. You can follow the show also on Twitter and social media at TCE on SGPN. Hit that like button, subscribe, leave a like, rating, review wherever you're listening to on podcast platforms. This was a hell of a show. We went 2 hours. Was not expecting that, but it was a lot of fun. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been the College Baseball Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we are out of here.